Hi, it's Angie. I don't know what to call this anyway, it doesn't need a title. I haven't uploaded for a while. I've been on a crazy helter-skelter roller coaster journey and rediscovered my passion for learning as well as teaching, because we're all bankrupt if we don't keep learning anyway. I'm just sharing, really pressing through to share, because I'm sitting with some grief and some sadness and usually like to wait until that passes so I can, be upbeat or a different way. And I realised that I think that emotion of sadness, grief, as well as anger, are emotions that we usually try and process out or deny or stuff down with sleep, telly, drink, socialising, any number of ways I've thought to process myself out of the actual grief. And I thought, no, because I don't even know if I have to validate it or be clever about it. So I think I'll just share. It's always my intention that anything I share is beneficial, but sometimes it's just for me. And it's like you hear people saying, "Oh, I wrote my book, if I could change one life," and all that. And that's all very noble, and maybe that's true, but sometimes it's just, and I think it's a reflection of the profound loneliness that alienation creates, that that human beings take selfies and make videos that might never be seen. My temptation is to talk myself out of this, laugh myself out of this. So just going to speak from the heart here. I suppose the most in my face sadness is the being estranged from my daughter and my grandchildren. And it's a double-edged sword, because I've done it to my family. I haven't really spoken to my father in a couple of years, and haven't really interacted much with my mother since about, I don't know, several months. And I don't know if I can't speak for whether they experience grief and sadness about that, or whether there's just a human being's ability to disconnect emotionally. I think I've observed it in estranged fathers from broken marriages as well, where they just disconnect, and you've got all these women left behind with broken children saying, how can they just walk away, how can they just cut off, how can they forget birthdays, Christmas, basic needs, graduations.
I mean, be better.
It's my son.
What?
That will. I was making a video, it's okay. I'll continue this. Are you going straight upstairs, or you want to talk? Okay, love you. Talk to you in a while. So where's Kim?
What?
Kim's at her house, is she?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So clearly it's the push-pull of I really like my own space, I really like my own company, I really am productive on my own, and then balance that with when I have an empty house, there's a kind of like sad, lonely thing that comes, and I usually process it away and then enjoy being alone as opposed to lonely. So anyway, I'm not going to analyse how my parents deal with me cutting them off, but just I think the other thing I wanted to, I've got 2 YouTube channels, by the way, because I occasionally get monitored or interference or whatever it is. So lost that chain of thought. God, I hate that. Anyway, right, right, I don't know what that thought was, but I'm just going to go back to the sadness, just for a while. I know what it was, yeah, because I have a wide variety of friends, and because I've gone full circle from, you know, Catholic upbringing and all the, you know, being drummed into you that I think my father used to say all the time, men are only after one thing, men are after only one thing, you know, like, you know, let them chase you, and, you know, no man wants a woman that chases you, blah blah blah. Anyway, brainwashing to, you know, preserve oneself, and then the apparent liberation of the 70s and 80s, you know, with the, well, even late 60s, I was born in 57, but like the advent of contraception and the advent of women's liberation and you know, apparent freedom, and I enjoyed that journey, and then I laugh because I have come full circle to being actually to choosing a different paradigm. But I do realise that, so I do share quite openly about, you know, lovers in my past and choices I made with regard to intimacy, and also, you know, divorced, and I realise for some people in my life that's, you know, shocking, and so I'm just acknowledging that some of my stories about, you know, one night stands or short-term love affairs, whatever, are shocking, and they do breach my own I don't know what word to use, moral standards, whatever, preference, but you know, so it's not that I'm saying, oh yeah, everybody should do like, you know, everybody should have 30 lovers or whatever, everybody should just, you know, if it feels good, do it. No, you know, that was then, this is now. I'm just saying I don't normalise that, and if some of the stuff I say as if it's no big deal is shocking to people, it's not necessarily that your sensibilities are out of, you know, whack. Sometimes it's that my choices were not possibly truly representative of who I am, and the easiest way to express that sadness was cut 2 events in my life actually where I felt disappointed in myself. I forgive myself, and I don't regret, certainly don't regret my mistakes, but at the same time I remember feeling sad. One was I've always loved children, old people and crazy people are my favourites. If not, you know, whatever, I was going to say animal, you know, dogs and horses, but bit of a tainted joy at the moment while I'm processing things. But so while I was going through university, I used to work every summer as a governess in London, and amongst others, you know, for members of the Saudi royal family, and you know, just adorable meeting of the minds. I've got such an affinity with the culture of the Arab peoples because I felt that there was an Irish-Arab common ground. There was the Arab royalty and billionaires and so on. They were Bedouin. They were travelling desert people. They were, you know, I think there's something very noble. I used to want to be a Romany gypsy. I just think that would be wonderful. And their music and their connectedness and their love of family and their humour and their joy and their kindness. I recognise that in the Arab peoples, whether, you know, regardless of status or, you know, money, gold taps. I mean, money was just dripping in London with the influx of Arabs in the late 70s or mid 70s onwards, really. But so I did this job probably 2 summers in a row and graduated maybe 3 summers in a row, I don't know. And then I fell pregnant. This is one of my pregnancies that I miscarried almost at 5 months, but I fell pregnant. I didn't fall. It's like you don't fall in, you know, you don't fall into having an affair, you choose that. But I became pregnant to somebody I wasn't married to, and I remember that just the pain in this Saudi royal family's, you know, royal's wrong word to do, whatever, Saudi family, that they didn't want to hurt me, but that they didn't feel I could be a role model anymore for their children. And I didn't argue with them. I mean, I could have said, oh, I'm the same person, and, you know, just because I've got different beliefs, blah blah blah. But I didn't, because I felt a little bit of the same. I definitely felt that same sadness, that clearly I've disqualified myself from the role of governess, given that I'm pregnant, you know, without a husband and without a plan and without 2 parents, you know. So that was one of the times. You can debate whether I was right or wrong. You can, you know, debate it away if you want, but that's not the point of me saying this. And the other time was when I got pregnant in America. I lost my first child, and it was a daughter, and I named her Amy, and I was devastated to lose her. But that's what happened. And then maybe 3 years later I emigrated, as I said, you know, and all plans to get my green card. I just graduated university. I was going to, you know, make a new life in America in theatre or movies or whatever, acting, writing, whatever, you know, setting out for a brave new world. And then 5 weeks in, homesick and foolish, succumbed to a, you know, 2-night stand. So and I've always said that actually realigned my life on a happier, healthier course, because I think I would have self-destructed if I'd gone to Hollywood at that point, or who knows. But I remember I didn't want to come home. I didn't want to come home and say, well, I know I went to go and, you know, pursue a dream, and, you know, so here I am with a baby and no father and no plan and whatever. So I'm just putting that out there. There's 2 times when I felt, I don't know if shame is too strong a word, disappointed that, oh, you know, that's not what I planned, or that's not the best way to do things. Sometimes, you know, life's what happens when you're busy making plans. But I forgive myself. But my daughter is the child of that 2-night stand, you know. And then when she was 8, I met somebody, married, and had 2 sons. and she always felt like a pretender, like an outsider, like they're the real children because you're married and there's two of you, and you know, difficult. She and I have had conversations. Would it have been better if she'd have been adopted? If I'd have given her up for adoption as the greater good, that, you know, in the hopes that she would have had a stable two-parent, you know, normal upbringing, and we both agreed on some level that would have possibly been better, except for if she didn't get a good family, which can happen in adoptions. And strangely too, adoptive children, no matter how wonderful an upbringing, they have a sort of emptiness, yearning thing. So for whatever reason, she and I have a sort of symbiotic love-hate, not hate, but how can you frame it? Like, we passionately, well, I can't even speak for her, I passionately love her. She's like me in very, very many ways. And so when we're united, it's just absolutely intoxicating, not just for us but for others around us. There's just a connection and sparks and a sense of humour, hilarity, that, you know, things that we see and click and finish each other's sentences and all that. And then there's also the thing where every now and then she just drifts away, you know, and just cuts the children out of my life. And I think that was the last genuine time I considered suicide, was when she had her first child, and said I wasn't going to be part of his life. So you know, I can remember I sat on the edge of a mountain in the Sierras near Granada, near Ojiva in Spain. You know, we went hiking up these amazing mountains and sort of like sheer drops, very beautiful. And I made an excuse that I wouldn't go the last stretch of the hiking because, you know, asthma or smoking or whatever reason. But in actual fact, it was because I was considering and tempted to just, you know, I'd found it so devastating that, you know, the child of the child that I almost aborted and didn't, and, you know, your first grandchild, that was you know, not going to be part of who I am. And we did reconcile a couple of years later, but I did miss most of his first 2 years, and that's a pain like no other. I don't know, for me it is. And then we've had a glorious few years of reconciling and healing, and, you know, finding there were misunderstandings and so on. And then it's happened again. I've gone deeper with working some things out, and my daughter's jumped ship again. And I think it's even worse because there are 2 grandchildren now, and they absolutely, now I can say with regard to them that they adore me. My daughter loves me too, I could say that, but you know, but like my granddaughter's 3, my grandson's 6. My grandson's kind of sensitive. If he senses his mum or his dad standing back or whatever, or processing anger or whatever, he can kind of pick up on that. And even my granddaughter, if her mum is shouting, obviously if her mum's shouting at me, or if we're estranged, you know, children do pick up on it, but there's a purity. And even my daughter used to say that they totally and utterly love you, totally, like, you know, that kind of innocent, devoted love, where they wouldn't like to drive through Oldcastle without going to Nana's, and where just, oh. So I'm sad about that, and I'm sad about, you know, a life in a way stolen. Does feel stolen. It's not too late. but I'm kind of angry as well. I'm kind of angry, you know, that it'll make more sense in more context, that I'm not a victim, but I am. And I'm sad, and I guess anger's there too. Anger's always there too. Well, those are the two emotions. So I saved up something to smash. One of my favourite ways to safely express anger is to buy up crockery or find things that I don't like, I don't want, and then go in the backyard and smash them against the wall, and then sweep them up, make it all better. You know, nobody around. You know, I have to confess, there have been times where violence is not a way I've expressed anger, but I have had outbursts. I've fired Gabriella will tell I fired a remote control at her in a rage outburst. I fired a glass ashtray. Fortunately, I'm not a good shot, but that doesn't excuse the intimidating behaviour. But I harness it. Now, if I know I need to express some rage, I'll express it. I'll find a way to do it. I bought the boys a giant big boxing punch bag since they were quite young, and my thing is to smash plates. Occasionally I will just shout and scream, but even that, unless I'm on my own or somebody that's well able for it, it's not a great way to do it either. And the adrenaline rush as well is, you know, adrenaline rushes can be quite nefarious if there are other things going on. So I can like have a temper outburst and then I'm virtually almost like paralysed. There's something goes on in my back where it gets stuck, but and I think I've shared before where I actually did a workshop. It might have been a whole, you know, the morning you talk about getting angry and being angry, and anger that you've suppressed, and anger that you know didn't feel safe to, you know, verbalise, and a culture where anger was not, you know, an attractive emotion or an acceptable emotion, or but anyway, so there was this workshop where the morning was like intellectualising, and the afternoon was battering the crap out of a stuffed gym horse with baseball bats, and I couldn't. Each time I went to fully vent, my back seized, and I literally fell to the floor, literally just collapsed to the floor, as if there was a switch saying no, you can't release it all. So we'll solve that mystery at some point, but there you go. I feel better. I have honestly hopefully not pontificated too much, just shared that in this journey, most people know I'm like, you know, I don't like to define myself by whatever area I'm passionate about, but you know, most who know me will know I'm a survivor. I'm an overcomer, and I didn't have a stable, nourishing, normal childhood or life really, and so, you know, it's a constant journey to not let that define me. I'd rather have that, you know, I'd rather have that not define me. And I also am wanting to get to a place of I don't know, I do forgive people that have hurt me hugely, and I don't agree with fuzzy-wuzzy forgiveness where there's no remorse on the part of the other person, there's no accountability on the part of the other people, and yet, so, you know, I'm going to go and act all loving. No, that's not healthy either, but I do feel there's further to go. I want to find that balance where you can absolutely have boundaries and not accept, you know, being undervalued and being, you know, abused or whatever, even mentally tortured. I would say even, that's very psychological and emotional. Mental abuse is every bit as, you know, I used to actually say, just hit me, just give me a punishment instead, get it over with, just hit me, don't, like, you know, one punishment, one sort of good spank would seem better than the torture sometimes, but the psychological. But I think, to be honest, the way, so I am working, I do want to examine every healthy part of relating with, especially my primary family. I don't like being cut off from parents and siblings and extended family. So I am, it's an ongoing journey to heal that without re-victimizing myself. But one of the scriptures that really woke me up to the upside downness of growing up in a messed up paradigm, there's a scripture that says, why are you worried? Like, don't you know your Father in heaven knows what you need and is, has it organised even before you ask? And it says that, like, even you as human beings, even you being kind of wicked, really meaning fallen state, you know how to give good things to your children. I mean, if your child asked you for a piece of bread, you wouldn't give them a stone. So for goodness sake, I'm God. But that scripture always tripped me up, because I used to think that my dad would. My dad would. If I said, can I have X, it's almost as if the program was, just, of course you can't have what you want, of course you can't have your, why would you think, and, he's a victim too, and so on and so forth. But I just remember thinking, the absence of that, where, a parent, for the most part, meets that primal need of, well, I know that they're going to fulfill my needs, food, warmth, shelter, protection, and love, in a stable, that primary expectation that a child, the longer you can have your children feel the centre of your universe in terms of course their needs are going to be met to the best of your ability, and if something's slightly off, it's going to be corrected and apologised for and healed instantly. There are millions of us that, to varying degrees, don't experience that, and I can place my parents in that same category, and that's just another thin line. We can have compassion on those that didn't meet our needs, and yet there's a line where you can forgive, but actually, in order to reinvent it, reinvent a closeness, there has to be a willingness on both sides. As a child, you are helpless and dependent on the family you're born into, and as you get older, you have to consciously choose and both do the work if it's going to be healthy. So anyway, no pontificating, just thought I'd share. Sometimes I'm sad, and even at this, I've kind of packaged it, but it's okay. I didn't go, and I kept thinking of all these ways. Let me go and eat, let me go and go to sleep, let me go and watch telly, let me go. I thought, no, let me just be sad and share that. So maybe next time I'll be funny. Gosh. Glasses, we have glasses.